I'm going to be making a new Super Smash Bros. Ultimate tier list. Now, this is going to include Sephiroth, Pyra, and Mithra. However, Pyra and Mithra are just a first guess. Obviously, we don't know too much. It hasn't been that long. I could very easily be wrong. I don't have all that much information to go off of. But based on what we know so far, I am going to give the best approximation that I can. Okay? So let's get right into the news. This is going to be weird because there's just such a huge patch. So there's a few characters that I think stand out over the others, and those are toppest tier, which is a stupid name. It's a very dumb name, but I will change that eventually. I am going to do ordered though, so you guys can sort of pick apart my thoughts that way. First off is Banjo. Kind of a weird character, but I don't think they quite make it out of mid-tier. I mean, it's close. They're towards the top of mid-tier for sure. The character's shown that they can do some stuff. There's some combos that we talk about that aren't bad. But this character loses to disjoints pretty hard. Kind of relies on their gimmick to kill. Doesn't have any really strong combos. Has kind of middling stats. Like, nothing too incredible. The only thing truly broken about Banjo and Kazooie is Wonder Wing. And I feel like now that we've all had enough time to process Wonder Wing, and now that we've seen the diabolical minecart move that Steve has, and the fact that Steve doesn't even have a limit on minecart other than how much iron he has, right? I think minecart is everything Wonder Wing is, but better. So I'm just going to say that it's not quite good enough and put Banjo in mid-tier. I think that we have gotten to the point now where we can deal with Banjo a lot better than we used to be, and his gimmicks don't hurt us as much. Next up, maybe my first controversial take. I think Bayo is high tier. I think she might be on the lower side of high tier. This character can be very hard to deal with. I feel like now that Bayos have they're finally learning neutral, dudes. They're finally learning how to play Smash Brothers after the cheating they got to do in Smash 4. They're finally learning how to play neutral. They're learning their ways around certain matchups. They're learning that, hey, my character is still one of the best edge guarders in the game. Still has some of the best combos in the game. We can cover different fallouts and things. And Bayo mains are really starting to come into their own right now. And yes, they are a little bit buffed online, but I still think this character just barely scrapes the bottom of high tier. You think Ike is top 25? We'll see. I actually don't have an opinion yet. I don't have like a place for him. We'll just see where he lands up. And I'm going to do Ike last. Next up, another high tier character, Bowser. Bowser has some scary, scary stuff. They said, let's take this slow powerhouse character and make him one of the fastest characters in the game with really fast frame data, a really stupid armor mechanic, and the best command grab in the game. Literally just the best grab in the game, period. In fact, his normal grab is also broken. So yeah, Bowser gets to be a high tier. He has broken combos, kills at stupid percent, is the heaviest character in the game. His recovery is really good. There's just not, like, the only real downsides of Bowser are he doesn't really have any safe ways to attack shield. That being said, he does have the best command grab in the game, so shield mix-ups don't really matter for him. He doesn't really have to hit shields with moves, because he can always just threaten side B. So that weakness is covered pretty well. And I think Bowser falls very solidly in high tier. Probably the higher end of high tier for me. Next up, Byleth. Kind of like Banjo. They have some clear strengths. Like, the character's not worthless. The character can win games and has some good matchups even in the higher tiers. But the character just barely doesn't escape mid-tier. A lot of the strengths of Ike, a lot of the strengths of Sephiroth as well, while not quite... or while having weaknesses that are very clear. Character's very slow, doesn't have very good air speed, doesn't have a gimmick like Sephiroth does. I think this character is just very clearly a mid-tier, maybe even lower, or on the lower end of mid-tier. But, you know, mid-tier characters have some heft in this game for sure. So there's no reason to discount her. Even with the buffs, I don't know anything about the Byleth buffs, if I'm being honest with you. Air and down smash buffs. See, those are very insignificant buffs, are they not? Like, those moves were already they buffed down smash knockback, which is crazy. Like, it's already been insane. Down air break shields even earlier. Side B, increase the opponent's downtime when shielding. Oh, they made it safer on shield. That's kind of nice. Up B, and they made it faster. I don't know if this doesn't feel like enough to pull her out. I mean, they just buffed her already strong moves, which is kind of weird. So I think she's probably still around mid-tier, maybe just like a little bit better. But, you know, I don't really know. I haven't played them since the changes. I haven't played against them since the changes. So this is not a particularly informed opinion, but I'm inclined to still put them in mid-tier. Maybe a little bit higher in mid-tier, though. Captain Falcon. There's a lot of buzz on this character right now. A lot of buzz. They just got buffed. You can't rock croc them anymore, which is one of the things holding them back the most at the highest level of play. But the character still has clear weaknesses. The combos are maybe a little bit situational. The recovery is still bad. The recovery is still not good, guys. Even if it's a lot better than it was, it doesn't have the glaring weakness. It's still pretty easy to contest for characters who are good at edge guarding. That being said, this character has been buffed a lot. It is definitely very good. Definitely very good. And I think that they have moved from the bottom of high tier up towards the top of high tier in the past 6 months or so. And now they're going to go even higher. I don't think they make it into top tier, but clearly a good character. Maybe a few too many losing matchups to be a top tier, in my opinion, though. Next up, Krom. I think Krom is better than Falcon. In fact, I think Krom is probably at the very bottom of top tier. I think he's the best high tier or the worst top tier. Very, very good character. The meta is just developing. Ever since the renaissance of instant double jump, ever since they've started wave bouncing their side Bs all the time and going for all kinds of crazy mix-ups in neutral, they're just getting optimized more and more. And a character like Krom with this kind of kill power, this kind of range, that kind of combo game, cannot be below top tier, in my opinion. And the recovery is bad, yes, but they have enough to make up for it, I think, and are just kind of insane. Cloud. Really solid character. Has a lot going for him. I don't think he's as good as Krom. I think Krom is a little bit better. I think probably around the same tier as Falcon. Has shown that it's a very good character. I do think they get significantly buffed online, but definitely a significantly good character. Very, very solidly in high tier. So I'm going to put them right there for now. I might rethink it later. But a character with that crazy frame safety can't be bad. Can't be bad. Pretty fast. Has a good gimmick. You know, it's just a good character all around. Okay, next up, Coren. This character got buffed too. Not as good as Cloud. Not as good as Bowser. Probably a little bit better than Bayo. Coren, I think, is a solid character now. They're either top of high tier or around the bottom of top of mid tier or around the bottom of high tier. Character has some crazy safety, really good callouts. It's very hard to contest in neutral, but I do think they have some struggle matchups for sure. Still, I think they got buffed out of mid tier hell, and now they're officially a high tier. Would be my initial assessment of Coren. Dark Pit, I'm going to skip. I'll just do Pit. Dark Samus, I'm going to skip. I'll just do Samus. I know they're similar. But I'll come back to Dark Pit when I get to Pit. Dark Samus, I don't think I really need to put in another tier from Samus. The characters are too similar. Diddy Kong, I haven't really seen how badly affected Diddy Kong is by the nerfs, but I think this character was borderline top tier before the nerf. So I'm going to put him at the top of high tier now because he got slightly nerfed in this patch. But Diddy Kong is cracked. Diddy Kong has been cracked. Diddy Kong... As soon as they fixed his recovery and made his recovery actually usable, Diddy Kong became a really, really good character. It just took forever to actually realize it. But I've been saying. DK. DK has too good of results to not be at least a mid-tier, guys. Character has clear weaknesses, but very, very strong strengths. Very, very strong. One of the most cracked, crazy advantage states in the game, but obviously a really, really bad disadvantage. Really, really bad recovery. So cannot rise any higher than mid-tier, but... The character has the best cheese in the game. Character has ding-dongs that still work on 90% of the cast and kill at 80 off of any grab. They can gimp characters at ridiculous percents. I really just don't think Donkey Kong is that bad. However, definitely, mid-tier at best. Dr. Mario, kind of a weird character. Doc has some really clear strengths as well. I mean, it's not like an unusable character. Thank you for follow, Inzi. But I think Doc's weaknesses drag him down a bit more than DK's do. And also his cheese just isn't as good as DK's cheese. So I think Doc is going to go either at the top of low tier or the bottom of mid tier. I haven't really decided which yet, and I'll see once I put some more characters in. Duck Hunt. Duck Hunt is a weird character. Duck Hunt is one of the few set play based characters in Ultimate. I think I would call him very trap based. Can is a crazy tool, and the character has some stuff going for him for sure. However, very underrepresented. I think sort of a top of mid tier, bottom of high tier kind of character. I think maybe bottom of high tier is where my heart wants to put him right now, because the character definitely has some stuff. We've all seen what Rido can do, and Duck Hunts in general have shown that this character, while very difficult to play super well, and also very annoying to fight against, has what it takes to win some matchups that feel like they would be pretty bad. All right, Falco. Falco is a high tier now, guys. It's official. Falco's a good character. Lasers force approaches. Lasers can gimp. This character has a very free flow, interesting combo game. Mage has shown me that this character definitely has some sauce and probably a pretty good matchup spread. It's not the best character by any means, and it takes a lot of... I wouldn't say it takes a lot of skill, but you have to have balls to play Falco. That much is for sure. And I think Falco is definitely around the center of high tier. You think Rido is good in spite of Duck Hunt rather than because of him? I mean, you're right. That's why he's at the bottom of high tier, but the character can really scrap with some really good people. I do think maybe high mid tier is the answer, actually, though, instead of low high tier. But you guys are going to see there's a lot of high tiers in this game. Okay, Ganon sucks. Not really much to say about him. He got buffed a little bit this patch. That's nice. It really wasn't enough to make too much of a difference. He still sucks. His recovery still sucks. He's still slow. He still relies completely on his opponent getting red. And just, you have to outplay your opponent. It's so hard to win with Ganon. He's definitely low tier. Greninja, bottom of top tier type of character. Maybe even better. I think he might be better than Krom slightly. Absolutely insane neutral. Bad out of shield, but who cares? He's like the most mobile character in the game. There's just no reason you should be shielding much in this matchup unless you're planning to parry. Greninja is just really solid. Amazing combo game. Amazing advantage state. Amazing neutral. Really good projectile, great edge guarding, great recovery. What can you say? Greninja's just a really solid character. Next up is Fox. The Fox top tier discussion. Fox is insane. We haven't been able to see it in so long, dude. I don't know, man. I don't even know what opinion I have on this character anymore because this character is so bad on Wi-Fi, you know? I'm not sure Fox is quite top tier. I think he might be high tier. That's where we're going to settle him for now. Alright, never mind. He's low top tier. Character has some weaknesses, but he's still insane. Any character with Nair up smash like that, like those kind of crazy confirms, and the kind of speed that Fox has, it's just obvious that the character is very good. Even though there are clear weaknesses, he has like a doo-doo garbage recovery, like worse than Krom's. Like actually a lot worse than Krom's in my opinion. And I think that makes it really difficult for him to compete at the highest top level. But light makes it work anyway, so what do I know? Next up we have Hero. This character's not that great, guys. Despite what Ant says in his brainwashing of the entire Ultimate community, Hero is a high mid-tier. He has really bad frame data, not the best mobility. His menu is insane. His side B is insane. His neutral B is insane. He basically has crazy good specials, but it's not enough to pull him out of the very top of mid-tier. And I think this is where I'm going to slot him in. Ice Climbers is not a good character. They have some good matchups. They have some relevant top tier matchups. They like do well or even beat Pikachu, which is really nice. They do really well against any character who doesn't have a big disjoint and who doesn't have a way to easily separate them and kill Nana and Popo. However, that's just like not that many characters who can't take care of them in some way. Character has really bad neutral, but really amazing craft advantage state, but it's just not enough to carry them. It's like just kill Nana. I mean, Nana just doesn't work properly. If Nana worked properly, this would be at least a mid-tier for sure. But as it stands, Icy's is like higher, low tier, and that's it. Incineroar, bad character, no range, very stubby, like one of the slowest characters in the game. Has some sauce, has some good combos. Revenge is a nutty tool, but it's just not enough. It's just not enough to carry the character at all. So I'm going to drop him here in the middle of low tier. Next up is Inkling. Inkling is a good character. I do think they're definitely not top tier. I think Inkling is a character that has some very strong strengths and is very hard to hit in a lot of situations. Probably towards the top of high tier, maybe the bottom of top tier. I think Diddy has a lot of the same strengths as Inkling while also having Banana, which is what makes the character insane. So yeah, Inkling is like high tier, but not quite top tier in my opinion. Joker. Just what is there to say about this character at this point? I don't think he's necessarily the best character in the game, but he's definitely a contender, and he definitely goes in the pantheon of characters that can get it, characters that can win super majors. So pretty easy. Don't really gotta talk about it too much. Next up, Isabel, not a good character. Honestly, one of the worst in the game. She has some strengths. She has like some really annoying zoning, but has trouble killing. Doesn't have very reliable combos. Really short range. Pretty slow. Basically, like, I think Villager's a little bit better than Isabel, and this character is very obviously low tier. Next up is Jigglypuff. Like, kind of like the DK problem, right? Where the character has some very clear weaknesses, but also some absolutely amazing cracked out strengths. So you don't always know what to do. Like Jigglypuff is one of those characters that clearly loses to most of the cast, but also can beat most of the cast, which is the same as DK, right? Like things can just happen, and suddenly Jigglypuff is winning. We've seen HBox do it over and over again. We've seen Base Mage make that character work, even in online tournaments, which he hates. I don't think Puff is that bad, but I think Puff is definitely not above mid tier. There's just too many obvious weaknesses for me to really have that opinion. K-Rool, this character has been surprising me lately. I used to think K-Rool was quite bad, like clear low tier. But some buffs given to him, some really good frame safety on a lot of his aerials, and the fact that his projectiles are really good, and that he has like a weirdly difficult to contest recovery for a lot of the cast. It's not amazing as a recovery, but the giant hitbox on top of it makes it not nearly as free as people make it sound. That combined with him having a lot of range on it and some really good projectiles to like cover himself, really good aerials to cover himself. Belly armor for disadvantage is actually a really nice tool. He can just nair his way out of a ton of situations. So K-Rool is either low high tier or high mid tier. I'm going to put him at high mid tier for now. But he's definitely a capable character who can be really scary in the right hands. It's hard to say until offline comes back. Like, we've still never seen a K-Rool do anything offline. But then again, he got buffed within this past year, so who knows? Ken. I think Ken is borderline top tier. I think this character's nuts. I'm going to put him at the top of high tier for now. But Ken is one of the deepest characters in the game. Like, when you give a character this many moves that cancel into each other, this many frame one options, this much niche stuff, like he has so many niche options that beat random characters, and I feel like the character requires a lot of knowledge to play really well. That being said, he's toxic, and I hate him. And I think top of high tier is the best I am willing to give this Ken. But he has just such insane tools that I don't think I can give him any lower than that. DDD, another character that's been surprising me. It's kind of in the like K-Rool tier, and obviously this character is definitely buffed on Wi-Fi. But DDD is a lot like DK, where there are definitely tools there. He can definitely win random ass matchups, but he's also just not a reliable character. Definitely not a reliable character. Definitely not one you can count on to take you high up in bracket. But he does have some clear strengths, so we're going to throw him here in mid tier instead of low tier, where I originally thought he was going to be. Kirby, another character with a bunch of insane cracked out strengths, but he's just too stubby, man. He's too stubby and slow. He's kind of got the Incineroar problem. He's definitely better than Incineroar because he doesn't have Incineroar's garbage recovery, and he has better grab combos, things like that. And Kirby can kill now, which is nice as well. So I think he's sort of a top of low tier kind of character. You think the DDD Gordo buffs are significant? Yeah, I heard there were buffs, but I haven't had a chance to check them out yet, so I can't give an informed opinion on that. Link. I think Link is a little bit overrated. He's not bad, but there's a lot of people trying to call him borderline top tier, and I just don't see it. I think he's on the lower end of high tier. Definitely some really good tools, some really good aerials, and Bomb is a really cool, interesting tool, but I don't think he gets to break anywhere near the top tier. He's just too slow. Has too many clear weaknesses. It's kind of hard to find openings in neutral. He doesn't have quite the projectile power or the projectile strength in general that the other two links have. So it makes neutral a little bit harder for him. Yes, he does hit harder and have insane safety once he gets in, and he doesn't have the problems killing that like Young Link has. But I think having a slightly more difficult neutral, yes, he can spam Nair, but it's hard. I just don't think Link has anything completely cracked that puts him towards the top of high tier. I think he's just an obviously solid character. Lucario. Lucario is like I don't know. He's fast, but he can't kill. I don't think he's like completely unusable. We've seen Armadillo getting results recently. And obviously there's a character that is almost completely unexplored because nobody plays him. He kind of got written off. But he's pretty fast, and I think once he gets aura, he's crazy. It's hard because like he goes from the worst character in the game to a good high tier when he gets aura. So like, where do you put that? And I think bottom of mid tier is what makes sense. He's never going to be consistent. Lucario is a character who's never going to get consistent results. He might break out every now and then and get lucky, but yeah, it's just going to be unfortunate. Next up, we have Little Mac. Still garbage. Not much to say. I feel like anything I say about Little Mac is just beating a dead horse. Good ground game, bad everything else, bad recovery. Just not a great character. I do think KO Punch is insane though, so I'll move him up. I think he's like maybe around here. I don't know, man. The low tiers don't matter. Next up, we have Lucas. Lucas actually kind of cracked, kind of secretly cracked. I think this character has a lot of sauce. I think very difficult to play well, but like he's got really good projectiles, really good edge guarding, really powerful, strong combos. Kind of like his neutrals maybe a little hard, but his frame safety is crazy. So I think this character has like a ton of very situational combos and is pretty hard to use effectively, but I think he's definitely a good ass character, like a really good character. So I think bottom of high tier makes sense. I know I said he's a really good character, and then I say like, you know, Link isn't that good, but I put Link higher than him. I meant like relative to how he's generally interpreted, and I think Lucas goes to the bottom of high tier. Next up is Lucina. Really solid. I think the fact that her edge guarding is just more reliable than Krom, and that she is just an insanely safe character. I think Lucina is a really, really good character. In a weird way. Like, she doesn't have broken combos, but she does have an insane advantage state. She has a really good disadvantage state. Her up B is just a crazy, crazy good move. Yeah, I mean, there's not much to say about Lucina that hasn't been said. She's just a really, really solid overall character and definitely a top tier. But I don't think she's top as top. She's not, like, on the Pantheon, which is what I called it last time. Luigi, another cracked out low-high tier. Has some clear weaknesses. Definitely buffed a lot on Wi-Fi. But, I don't know, a character that can kill you off of basically any stray hit is never going to be below low-high tier. This character is basically Ken with more extreme strengths and more extreme weaknesses. So I think that puts him around the bottom of high tier because he's never going to be as consistent as a lot of the characters above him. Next up, Mega Man. This is a really solid character. Mega Man is probably high tier. Might be a top tier. It's hard to say. We'll have to find out when offline comes back, because most of the best Mega Men in the US do not play in online tournaments. Scat doesn't really do it. Yeah, I haven't really seen Mega Man much at all. Not even, it's not like he can't do it, just their mains don't play. So, high tier is what I think of this character. Next up, Mario, top tier, really solid. Not quite on the Pantheon, but really, really close. Crazy safety, crazy combos, crazy advantage, really good disadvantage. There's not much to say. Mario's just an insanely solid character. He's going to go at the top of the not quite top tier. So, you know, probably a top 10 character, but we'll find out. Mewtwo. Mewtwo is like probably a little bit better than some of these characters, but not by much. Character's mad inconsistent, stupid light, dies early, has some combos, but not that good. He's like Lucas, if Lucas was even lighter somehow, huge, and even more inconsistent. So I think Mewtwo probably falls down here in mid-tier, maybe towards the higher middle of mid-tier. Meta Knight. Basically Puff. Crazy highs, crazy lows. Some weaknesses. I don't really know much about Meta Knight beyond the fact that Sect can mess me up with this character. So I'm going to put him in mid-tier, but I don't know for sure. Next up, Mii Brawler. This character is cracked, dude. Nobody knows it. Mii Brawler's insane. Mii Brawler has crazy, crazy tools. And like so many specials to choose from. You can counterpick your opponent with different specials. The kill power problem is solved by like true combos and a flying Mach Punch. Nair is one of the safest moves in the entire game. This character is cracked and has really good cheese too. Soaring Axe Kick is a broken move. It's broken, it's ether, but even better, and no one gives it credit for being absolutely busted. It's like frame 10. Stupid character. Crazy safe. Really hard to deal with. Yes, this is ordered, and Brawler goes in high tier. More people are waking up to Brawler. They need to, dude. Sword Fighter, gimmick character. Not good. I lose to them anyway. I lose all the time to this stupid gimmick character that I hate, but he's definitely low tier. Carried by gimmicks. Min Min, I hate to say it at this point, but this character is probably top tier. Probably around Greninja tier, where they have a lot of really good matchups and really strong tools, but probably don't just steamroll everybody. I think Min Min's a really good character. As much as I hate her, I think it's... do you think Mac is better than Isabel and Doc? I don't really care, to be honest. Mii Gunner, a little bit better than Sword Fighter, but still not great. Decent zoner, decent tools, but like just nothing stand out that would move them out of mid tier. So I'm going to leave Gunner there. Definitely kind of crumbles under close-up pressure. Gunner has some stupid movement options, though, I will say. So I'm going to move him up a little bit. Probably, I'm more afraid of Gunner than Mewtwo. And Byleth, to be honest, but not more than Duck Hunt. Min Min deserved the Pantheon before the nerfs? Maybe. I hope the nerfs were well done. Good nerfs. But I am not sure. Game & Watch, top tier. This character's cracked. This character's got a crazy matchup chart. I don't know how high up in top tier I want to put him yet. It's just going to depend on where people go around him. But I think character is clearly a top tier. So we're going to put him around the middle of top tier for now. But yeah, Game & Watch just has way too many amazing top tier matchups to not be considered a top tier himself. I just don't know where he goes yet. I think he's probably definitely better than these 4 characters. Might be better than Lucina and Mario. I'm not sure. I think for now, though, I'm going to put him right there. I'll save Mithra, Pyra, and Ike for the end. Next up, we have Marth. Definitely not a bad character, but unfortunately, like, gets hit pretty hard by the hitbox stuff. I think probably is around a top of mid-tier kind of character. Has some good stuff. Has some good stuff that Lucina doesn't even have, but the weaknesses of just, like, you know, not being consistent are really annoying. So I think he definitely goes more to bottom of, or top of mid-tier. We have Ness. Ness is a super solid high tier. This character can just hit buttons at you, dude. I think Falcon is better than these characters. Falcon is here, probably. But yeah, Ness is possibly better than Brawler. I think definitely better than Inkling. Yeah, this is where I would put him. Just character that can mash. It's just crazy good character all around. Definitely buffed on Wi-Fi, but definitely doesn't deserve any higher than around the top mid of high tier. So, Pac-Man, another really solid high tier, very tricky. A lot going for this character. I think probably a little bit better than Brawler and Ness. Maybe a little bit better than Falcon as well. I don't know why they gave this crazy, weird, trap-based zoner the best recovery in the game and some of the best boxing tools in the game, but they sure did, dude. They sure did. So we're going to put him around Diddy tier up here towards the top of high tier. Palu, she got nerfed, dude. She got nerfed. Is she no longer in the top tier? I'm not sure. She would have definitely gone up here before. Her fair being less safe is a very significant deal. Her dash attack being worse matters a lot. Her grab being worse matters a lot for a character with a ground game that bad. I think for now, she might have fallen out. Which is crazy. So yeah, I think she might be just towards the top of normal top tier and not in toppest tier anymore. Were they that bad? I mean, they moved her. I think they probably moved her from top 5 to top 10. So depends on how you define bad. But when you're privileged and you lose that privilege, it looks like oppression, right? Next up, we have Peach. Offline, this character's still cracked, guys. Like, yeah, she doesn't get results online. Sensora doesn't get results. Mutace doesn't get results. But it's because the character's hard to play online. So we can basically ignore all tournament results from the past year for her. She's still as strong as she ever was. Float is still broken. Her advantage state is still broken. Turnips are still broken. Character's cracked. Character's completely cracked. Pichu got buffed. I think he's probably not anywhere near his former glory still. Losing F-tilt like he did in some of his combo game definitely hurt him a lot. But I think this character is back in the realm of the high tiers here. I think I would probably put him there. Maybe just a little bit lower than Bowser. I don't know how significant the buffs were, but I think the character is still really good. I mean, I never thought this character was bad, so that's where I'm going to put him. Pikachu goes in the top tier. As for where, I'm not entirely sure. But, you know, Pikachu's very, very good and definitely deserves to be up here. Is he best in the game? It's definitely possible. Very, very good character. I wouldn't rule it out, but we'll compare them directly towards the end. Olimar. This character has never stopped being good. I don't really get why this character is considered mid-tier by some people now. I think it's just because nobody plays Olimar. Olimar's really good. Olimar's always been really good. The nerfs weren't that bad. Olimar went from top tier to high tier when he got nerfed and is definitely still a really solid character with some of the best tools in the game. And I'm tired of pretending he's not. Plant. Still bad, but has some good gimmicks. I think probably around the Banjo tier, where there's one tool that really stands out as insane. That's Batui. This character has insanely good ledge trapping, but the recovery is very exploitable. Not very good neutral. Once you figure out the gimmick, it's just not that bad. You just got to stop jumping into it. Figure out a way to approach a neutral. I think Piranha Plant is a mid tier. You don't think the slight nerfs put Joker below Pika? It might have. I'm not sure yet. I'm going to come back to the top as top tier. I haven't decided yet on those. And I also haven't really looked at how bad the nerfs are for Joker. Didn't they just nerf? They nerfed his side B to have more lag, right? Which I think is definitely significant. And they made him have more lag on his down B. Okay. Yeah, I mean, those are some good nerfs, but I don't think they're enough to, like, you know, nuke the character or anything. He's still really good. I think the Palu nerfs were a lot more significant than the Joker nerfs. Even the ZSS nerfs were more significant. Pit is a very solid character. I think probably more of a top of mid-tier character than a high-tier character, but I think that character has some of the stuff for sure. I would definitely put them above Marth. Do I put K-Rool above Marth? God, what a world. But I don't think I quite do. I think Pit has some really good tools, some good combos, and the buffs were significant. What's up, Joshy? So I think I would put Pit at the top of mid-tier. He didn't get buffed this patch. He got buffed a couple of patches ago. Pokemon Trainer. This character's still insane. Don't know what to say. They're definitely top tier. The question is, where in top tier do they go? And I think the answer is around right here. Not as good as Game & Watch. Game & Watch is cracked, has some really broken matchups, and validates a bunch of mid-tiers. Pokemon Trainer just is very good. Has a bunch of solid matchups all around. Has some good cheese. Has Pokemon Switch. Has all sorts of great strengths. And even though the individual characters have weaknesses, they all complement each other really well. And you can pick the character that you need for the situation. So I think middle of top tier is a good spot for Pokemon Trainer. Again, we are coming back to Pyramithra. Not going to do that yet. Richter. Man, not a great character. Again, though, like, I'm remiss to put them in low tier because there's some very clear, obvious strengths to this character. It's a lot like Byleth, right? Where the character has some situations where you see them do something and you're like, this character is completely insane. But yeah, I think Richter's weaknesses are very obvious and very exploitable. I'm going to put him here towards the bottom middle of mid tier. Ridley's got some strengths. He's not as good as K-Rool for sure. And I don't put him in low tier or anything. I think he's like middle of mid tier. I think probably definitely better than Byleth, better than Gunner. I don't think he's better than Duck Hunt. I do think Duck Hunt is significantly better than Hero and Meta Knight though. I think Ridley goes around here, where like a character with some good tools is solid, has good neutral, but just like that disadvantage state is really garbage. Like it's just really, really bad. And I think that holds him back at a top level where every time you get touched as this character, you're going for a ride because no one's going to drop any combos and they're going to take advantage of your bad disadvantage options and just blow you up. Rob, top tier. Better than this character, better than this character, probably better than this character, better than this one, better than this one. And then that's where I'd stop. Rob is a nasty, nasty character. They said, let's take this heavy zoner, give him some of the best zoning tools in the game, literally. And let's also give him the best boxing tools on the ground of any character in the game. We're going to make his recovery impossible to contest for most of the cast. We're going to basically make him able to recover from literally everywhere and give him crazy frame safety. Yeah, that makes sense. So you still wonder how Rido managed to get 4th at EVO with Duck Hunt. Rido's insane. Rido, it makes me think this character might be low high tier, actually. But we'll see. Robin, a character that's kind of proven themselves lately. This character has some really good tools. I do think that if any character in the game gets buffed on Wi-Fi, it's definitely Robin. A lot of her projectiles are a lot more reactable offline, and you're just never going to get grabbed by this character offline. However, if you look at Robin's aerials, they're absolutely nuts. Her Nair is just like one of the best in the game. And I think she has some really solid combos, really good zoning tools. Unfortunately, she is incredibly, incredibly slow. And for this reason, I don't think she can go any higher than here. But I have been shown that I think I was wrong about Robin. And this character might actually be low high tier. Really, really solid. Roy's a top tier. I think Roy might be very slightly better than Krom. I used to think he was a lot better than Krom, mainly due to results. But I think Krom has had some recent developments to his meta that make his combo game kind of shine compared to Roy's. And Roy's insane. And Roy will kill you at stupid percents. But Krom's combo game is really starting to come out. And I think they're very close to even again now that the meta has been developed a little bit further. So yeah, that's where I'm going to drop Roy. Rosalina, character's okay. DeBuzz thinks that Rosalina is like high tier. I think they're sort of towards the top of mid tier. Definitely some good tools, some cool tech with Luma, but I just don't see anything special or stand out about Rosaluma that would put them any higher than this. I do think they are slightly better than a lot of these characters down here, though. There's some really cool tools, really strong strengths, but the disadvantage sucks. Luma being vulnerable sucks. I think this is where they land because of that. Ryu, one of the more underrated characters in the game. Not as good as Ken, but not all that far behind. A really good zoner. I think he still belongs in high tier, just significantly lower down. Better than Luigi. If you don't have any faith in Ryu, go watch Vendetta play this character or play against them yourself, and you'll see what I mean. Ryu has some really good zoning and conditioning tools on top of most of the strengths of Ken. He's just a lot slower, which granted is a big deal, and that's why I put him towards the lower end of high tier, but I still think he's a high tier. Next up we have Samus. Samus is a really good character, and again, I'm clouded by Wi-Fi a little bit, but Samus has some really good combos, really good tools. Quick was doing stuff offline before COVID even happened. You had some good Samus results. I think definitely better than these characters below them. Contender for best zoner in the game, other than like Rob, who cheats in every other way, or Mega Man. So yeah, I think Samus is a very solid high tier, very solid. I'll save Sephiroth as well, because people are interested in my hot take, dude. So we're gonna wait on that one. Okay, Chic. Chic is like a low high tier. She's cool, she's fast, she has some good strengths. But as much as they say she doesn't have trouble killing, she does have trouble killing, guys. I'm not saying it's impossible for her to kill. I'm not saying there's no kill setups. I'm saying that there are faster characters with similar frame data who have a much easier time with it. Shulk. Another top tier. I don't put him in the Pantheon right now. I feel like he has some weaknesses. He has really slow startup on a lot of his moves. Not a particularly fast character in terms of base stats. Probably a little bit better than Lucina. Arts are one of the most busted tools in the game. But until I am proven otherwise, I don't think I would quite put them in the toppest top Pantheon. I'm going to call this the Pantheon, dude. I keep calling it that in my speech. I'm going to leave it there for real. And Shulk doesn't quite make the cut, but he's a really good character with some busted tools. Snake. Snake is really good. Has some really solid matchups. Kind of a weird character. Probably like, he's a lot like Rob in that there's some clear disadvantage problems that this character has, but the tools are just good enough to make up for it anyway. Snake's up tilt is like completely broken. All of his normals are broken. His dash attack is like the best dash attack in the game. He is super heavy and can trade at crazy percents. His recovery is very hit or miss depending on the matchup. Some characters can't contest it well. Some characters can contest it completely for free. Luckily, Ike is one of those characters who can contest it very easily. But I think a character like Snake never has to play by any other character's rules. He always gets to play his game, and because of that, he gets to be a top tier. Everyone else has to adapt to him because of how unique his playstyle is, and the fact that his playstyle is pretty universal. I mean, grenades are good against every character in the game, so it's pretty hard to hard win against Snake. You can only slight win against this character, and so he's very clearly top tier to me. One of the most solo mainable characters in the game. Sonic, top tier. I've been saying Sonic was top tier since long before Wi-Fi. I think this character is cracked. Probably towards the bottom of top tier, but character has all the tools, and you know, if played completely lame, can just have an advantage in basically every matchup. It's a lot like Snake in that Sonic never has to play by anybody else's rules. Sonic always gets to do their game plan. And so Sonic is going to be towards top tier for sure. And I think on the bottom end, just because I don't think Sonic has all that many hard winning matchups, but just a lot of slight winning ones. Not always. You're right. Sonic has a zoner problem sometimes, which is why they are not higher than they are. There are some not great matchups in there, but there's nothing like, I don't think Sonic loses -2 to basically any character in the game. So it's hard for me to put him any lower than low top tier. Terry is definitely a high tier. I don't think he's close to as good as Ken. I think he's around Falcon tier. Like some very clear strengths, some really broken tools, but also some extremely clear weaknesses, bad recovery. I mean, Terry is a lot like Captain Falcon if you think about it. He has less 0 to deaths, and he relies more on his comeback gimmick. but I think a lot of the same weaknesses and strengths are shared between these two characters. But Terry is way easier to play. Toon Link is either high mid tier or low high tier to me. Character has some tools. He's a good zoner with like bombs really good. Projectiles are really good, except his arrow isn't that great. But I think his normals are very solid. His recovery is not as exploitable as some of the other links, and I think he probably goes around like where Lucas is, right? Sort of here around the lower end of high tier. Villager, not a great character, very gimmicky, can win, but relies sort of on, I don't know, this character gets a lot of matchup cheese wins, if I'm being honest with you. Sort of like Me Gunner in that way, where they're just like a whatever zoner, with some tools that work, but definitely not too ridiculous. So around the middle of mid tier, maybe a little bit lower than that, if I was being honest. Wario, how the mighty Wario has fallen, dude. This character doesn't work anymore. Waft doesn't work anymore. The most toxic top tier, I might have put Wario as best character in the game before the nerfs. But now, this character has fallen, dude. This character is now a high tier. I think the half waft combos are really good. Can still do some full waft combos, but imagination into waft isn't a thing anymore, and that was what made this character top tier. Still very solid character, still really good frame data, still really good safety, still some really good tools and a good recovery, and waft is still going to be an extremely broken tool, but definitely not quite on the level that they used to be. Definitely the biggest loser of patch 11.0. Next up, we have Steve. Steve is the character that I think I was the most wrong about, but I have a caveat for this. I said I think Steve is bad unless something broken is found, and I think a lot of very broken things have been found with Steve. I also think the character is very buffed by Wi-Fi. I think Minecart is going to be significantly worse offline than it is online. I don't know. I honestly can't give a truly informed opinion about where I think Steve is going to be once offline comes back, but for online, he's definitely in the higher end of high tier at the very worst. But I think he's probably going to be low high tier when offline comes back. So I'm going to put him, let's say like right here, maybe middle of high tier. Definitely a fairly solid character. Wii Fit Trainer just got cracked out, y'all. I don't think you guys realize what's coming. I don't think you guys realize what's about to happen. I think Wii Fit Trainer is an insane character now. Have you guys seen the buffs? They shaved 5 frames of lag off of header. This character has crazy 0-to-death combos now. I don't think you guys are ready. I think Wii Fit Trainer is insane now. Just like, I don't have much to say about it. You guys are going to see, but the header changes are actually very significant in my opinion. And I think this character is about to show up as a high tier. I think I would probably put them around right here. Wolf, top tier. Wolf is probably on the Pantheon now. Now that some of his worst matchups got nerfed, like Palu got nerfed, and I think Wolf kind of struggled a little bit getting in on Palu. I don't think it was a terrible matchup, but I think it was one of the top tier matchups he maybe had a little bit of trouble with. Joker got nerfed. I think Wolf maybe just barely makes the cut for the Pantheon now. Yoshi, very, very good, solid high tier. I think Yoshi is an incredibly underrated character. He doesn't do as badly against disjoints as everyone says, mainly because he has his double jump armor, and he also has the best air drift in the game and some crazy combos. And yeah, I think Yoshi sits around the top half of high tier. Good character. Young Link is a breath away from top tier. Young Link is a nasty character, very underrated, has some clear weaknesses. It's a lot like Diddy, where the character's been cracked, but has some things that could be a little bit better. Zelda has gone up in my regard lately. I used to think she was one of the worst characters in the game, but some of her zoning tools are just a little too good. Her advantage state is just a little too cracked. Her out of shield game is just a little too good. And with her playing incredibly defensively, I think she can take some real names. And I think she's a little bit misunderstood as a character right now, and definitely doesn't belong in low tier. So I think towards the top half of mid tier, it's going to be good. All right, and ZSS, which it's fitting that she's so close to last. My question is, does she fall from the Pantheon? I had her as like top 5, maybe even top 3 before, based on results and just how insane Mars makes this character look. I think she's definitely fallen, but I don't think she quite falls out of the Pantheon. I think this character's still cracked, and I think you guys are overreacting like crazy. acting like she was gutted for having 3 frames added to some of her in leg. She's fine. She's good. She's a good-ass character. Stop whining. Again, I saw a really funny quote, and it was, when privilege is taken away, it looks like oppression. And that's how I feel about ZSS mains right now, for sure. All right, the boy Ike. I'm not sure where I would put him. It's hard to say because I do think he's a little bit buffed by... I think a lot about him is buffed by online, but I also think that with the changes in 8.0, he is now better offline in a lot of ways than he used to be. Like down tilt changes and parries. Now that parrying is going to be consistent, it's going to hurt Ike, but it'll also help Ike in a lot of ways. What's up, Spickles? And I think this character is very definitely high tier. The question is, where does he fall? And I think my answer is going to be right around Ness tier, maybe a little bit better than Brawler, maybe a little bit better than Terry. I'll put him right here as worse than Captain Falcon, but he is a very, very good, solid character. And I think I'm going to put him here around the middle top of high tier. Yeah, this looks good to me. Since you guys are begging me to, I think Sephiroth is all right. I think he's a lot like Rosa, and that he has some very good strengths, but like the weaknesses are extremely clear. I think he has bad frame data. I think he has trouble dealing with rushdown in a lot of major ways. And I think he just is like better Byleth, like strictly better Byleth. I think Wing also gives him a pretty big boon. It's a lot like how Rosa has Luma, but can't rely on having it at all times. Character has really fake combos, but a really good advantage state. I just think that the character's probably going to be worse offline than he is online because he has to rely on big hitboxes to get the kill. And I think Sephiroth belongs in higher mid tier. You want me to cut high tier in half? Maybe. I don't know. This is how I feel. I feel like it's a very top-heavy game. I feel like there's a lot of very viable characters in this game. Fake combos, I mean that Sephiroth does not have a lot of really good true combos. Most of them are DIable or only like 2 hits. And almost none of them kill. In fact, he has to get a really specific hit of Nair to get like Nair back air to kill. Sephiroth combos aren't that good. Okay, and Pyra Mythra. I think this character's good. As far as how good, we're gonna have to wait to find out. But anytime you give a character with a sword that kind of speed and data that Mythra has, it's gonna make them a pretty good character. My only question is, are they going to be limited by having to rely on Pyra to get kills? Because Pyra is an extremely slow character, like Incineroar slow. There might be some cool stuff found with switching. Again, this is day 2 of Pyra and Mythra being out, so I'm going to have a very uninformed opinion here. But I think on first impressions, this is a solid high tier we have in our hands, but not a top tier. I don't think this character quite breaches top tier because Mythra's combo game has like a little to be desired, it feels like. Again, it's very early. Something might be found. There's some good early percent combos right now, and some stuff you can do with frame traps and DI, but Mythra literally cannot kill unless they find an F smash. And so you have to rely on Pyra, which I feel like once we get used to Pyra's attacks and like where Pyra's threat range is, it's going to be a lot harder to die to this character. And yeah, I think this is like a middle of high tier character, but we will find out. Again, I don't have a very strong opinion about this character, but this is where I am feeling right now. All right, guys, this is my tier list. I hope you guys enjoyed sitting here with me. I know there's a lot of high tiers, but I do feel like this game is very top heavy. There's a lot of good characters. Very few characters are like unviable, but we'll figure it out. We'll find out soon. I think the meta is looking promising right now. I think that this patch was generally pretty good for Smash Ultimate. And where does this put Ike? 9. Yeah, top 30. That, if you were to ask me where Ike is, I would have said top 25 to 30. So yeah, makes perfect sense to me where he ended up in my head. It all really depends on if these Wii Fit trainers are as cracked as I think they might be. If they're not, then, you know, ignore this. But I think this character might be showing up. And also Pyra Mythra might be higher or lower. It's really hard to say. But yeah, this is my tier list.